Hi everybody, and welcome back to the latest episode of In Conversation with the Beauty Triangle. I'm back with the brilliant Sarah Chapman. She's one of London's leading facialist, if not the leading facialist, and also the creator of the incredible Sarah Chapman London skincare line, which we're going to be talking a little bit more about, and which we're so excited to now be stocking on the Beauty Triangle Boutique. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure always to talk to you.
Oh, bless you. Well, I love everything about what you've created and the legacy behind your whole brand. So I'm really excited to be working with you on this project and also to have the opportunity to have you here on the sofa and pick your brains. But maybe you can just set the scene for anyone who's watching a little bit who might not be so familiar with the brand. What was your inspiration behind creating it as a founder and facialist of these amazing treatments?
Yeah, it's interesting because I guess I started actually when I left school as a makeup artist. So I started looking at skin quite early. Yeah,
oh my goodness.
Lots of people don't know about that. But it was doing that I started to really look at skin and think, we were spending so much time in those days with heavy makeup, like pancake makeup, to try and hide everything before we could even create the look.
Yes.
And so that made me start thinking about, well, why can't we get the skin looking good before? So that was my first sort of thinking into skincare. And then I trained in everything beauty. And when I was working with different skincare companies, I started to do treatments and I mixed together so many different products because I wanted real efficacy and performance, but I also wanted things to feel and smell beautiful. So that you had not only the physiological change in the skin, but also the psychological feel-good factor, because I think that's so important as well in skincare.
It's so true. We often talk about like science meets sensorial when it comes to your brand, I think. And it's really important that you have products that deliver results, but also that make you feel good. Yeah. Because it's such an emotive, immersive way to experience products when you put them on your skin.
And I think we always say we look after you and your skin.
Yeah.
And so it's tapping into that physiological, where we're using active ingredients that really will change your skin, but the psychological with the touch, with the smells, so that every time you use a product, you know that it's going to deliver you the results, but actually the moment that you use it, you tap into the limbic system in the brain, the smells, the essential oils really start to elevate your mood or change the way that you're feeling. Yeah. That's such an important part of skincare. And I think that comes from being in the treatment room. Yes. Because working in facials, seeing people in the treatment room, not only do you want to change the skin, but you want somebody to leave feeling like a different person.
Exactly. It very much goes back to that sort of power of human touch and how you make somebody feel in that 60 minutes, 90 minutes. It's not a very large part of our day, but actually the transformation that you can affect for that individual is, you can't really measure it, can you?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we'll literally come out of the treatment and the client will almost be in tears. Oh, I had somebody the other day and they're just like, I didn't realise I felt so tired and I didn't realise I hadn't been looking after myself, and I just feel completely nurtured. At the same time, we could be microneedling, we could be putting on peptide stem cells, you know, ingredients that are really changing the skin, but actually a huge part of it is that touch. We always say kind of tech meets touch, but it's also activity and really active ingredients with the sensorial. So we sort of say we sit at this intersection of kind of clinical expertise, sensorial luxury, and advanced science. So if you imagine those all wrapped up, whether it's a treatment, whether it's a product, that's kind of what you get with the brand.
Oh my God, it sounds amazing. It's exactly, I think, what my face and my skin needs right now. But I think what's really clever, and you sort of spoke about the sort of the influence, so to call it, of the treatments that you're performing sort of hands-on in clinic, and how they really drive that bespoke approach. And I think what you've created with the product is a really nice way to almost bring that into someone's home as well. Like you say, you might be doing the very sort of sharp sort of medical end of the needling and sort of getting through the skin barrier and really delivering those ingredients to where they need to get to. But then you're also working to sort of soothe and sort of repair and replenish, aren't you? And it's interesting because I think those different areas and those action points are really evident in the ranges that you've created. Maybe we can talk a little bit about the products, because these are the 5 Sarah Chapman London products we're going to be stocking on the boutique, and they're some of my absolute favourites. So I'm very biased. I mean, there will be more coming at some point, but these are my sort of go-tos anyway. So you've got your sort of original cult sort of Sarah Chapman London brand sort of here in the beautiful sort of silvery sort of taupe, and then you've got the clinical range as well. Why was it important to you to have a range that was sort of not exactly split in half, because they're very synergistic, but that has a slightly different focus?
Yeah, it's interesting. The clinical line came a couple of years ago, and it was really because I was seeing in clinic, so in the treatment room, so many people coming in with really disrupted skin barriers, skin that was behaving really badly. They didn't know what to do with it. They couldn't put anything on. And we'd seen this massive rise in people using so many topical products.
Yep.
Huge knowledge now about ingredients, but almost dangerously so.
I think a lot of that came from COVID, didn't it? Sort of people not being able to get into the clinic. Suddenly they were sort of,
trying everything.
A self-proclaimed doctor, exactly throwing everything at their skin. And then obviously your skin has a meltdown because it can't handle that amount of exposure to actives and ingredients and whatnot.
And I think we really saw that. And we saw a massive rise in sensitivity, perioral dermatitis, and all of this being self-induced by using products that were either too harsh or mixing too many things together. So I wanted to create something that would give people a safe way to use the actives that they're looking for.
Yes, exactly.
We know that retinol, retinal are brilliant for the skin, those forms of vitamin A, but how do we get those into the skin in a way that doesn't disrupt the barrier and that actually really protects the skin? So the clinical line came from this very scientific sort of research. We worked with a pharmaceutical company that had created drug delivery systems in order to bring those into the cosmetics space. So it's a slightly different approach to the core line, which is really about your overall skin health.
Yeah, this is almost the step up for those people who are sort of going, it's in a good place now what else can I do to enhance it?
And if you are one of those single ingredient focused shoppers or people or clients, and you want to have the vitamin C or you want to have the vitamin A, the clinical line kind of gives you that. But you can layer it in with all of the core Sarah Chapman products, which are much more multifunctional. Some of them have got 18 actives in, because we really look at how the skin behaves and all the different layers of the skin. And if we've got retinoids and vitamin A, and which we have in lots of the core line, it's supported with omega oils and conditioning ingredients that keep your skin healthy and strong. So
that's really
those
nice.
are products that you're really using on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, they are sort of like your staples, aren't they? The sort of cleanser you use morning and night, the SPF that you use every single day, sort of no matter sort of rain or shine.
The cleanser was one of the first products that I launched in 2008.
The Ultimate Cleanse?
And Ultimate Cleanse. I was just show actually, and the smell.
I love the scent of this.
And it's the cleanser we use at the beginning of every facial.
You've got so much. I'm going to say.
So in clinic we do something like 15,000 treatments a year.
It takes me back to a treatment room, I have to say.
Exactly. So there's
delicious.
there's that moment of sensorial luxury.
Yes.
There is that moment of, I can wipe away the day, I can feel brilliant. But in here, there's Damaxyl peptide, there's a retinoid derivative, there's skin brighteners, there's omega oils. So it's active, but it's actually really conditioning on the skin.
You know what? It really makes you want to take a deep breath when you smell. What is in the scent? Is that just all of the natural ingredients that are already in there, or is there anything sort of natural that's been added to enhance it?
It's an essential oil blend, so it's really a functional fragrance. So it's using the principles of neuroscience to really get into the mind. So using essential oils, we've got jasmine, neroli, you can smell the orange blossom.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a little bit of camphor, which gives that fresh, sort of really clean feeling.
It's lovely because for a balm cleanser, I think a lot of people are quite scared of balm cleansers, particularly if they have a slightly oilier skin type. But you were actually saying to me it's really important almost for the oilier skin still to use something that has a bit of oil in it itself to loosen the surface oils. Is that right?
Yeah, if you think about the sort of channels in the skin, all of the pores, everything in the skin, there are lipid pathways for oils to kind of secrete out of the skin.
Yeah.
So if you put an oil onto those, it can penetrate through those much more efficiently and start to really balance. If you strip all of the oils out, your skin actually says, I need to produce oil. I haven't got any oil on my skin.
Yeah, and then it
so you become more oily. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so actually I would say to people, never be afraid of an oil product if you've got oily skin, because we sometimes see that actually take the skin into a lovely state of balance.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. It's so counterintuitive sometimes, isn't it? And I suppose if you are concerned, there are other products that you can use afterwards. You know, that sort of like double cleanse.
Yeah, if you want to do a washy sort of foaming or a wash or something that leaves you feeling more squeaky clean, you can kind of do that as a second step.
Exactly. That's phase 2 of what we'll be stocking. Yeah. A squeaky clean cleanser, but that's the go-to for me.
And skin insurance is our SPF.
I have this on my face today.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Nice. Lots of people use it instead of makeup because it has that lovely, almost blurring tint. It's not a colour.
It's like the Paris filter on Instagram. I always think it just sort of like smooths everything.
Yeah, without giving you kind of texture or cover.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, you've got that SPF 50. And you've also got ingredients in here that mimic vitamin D. So they help your skin to sort of process and to work better. Yeah. And ingredients that will help to protect against thermal radiation, infrared, blue light. So it's a real sort of 360 kind of shield.
And it's amazing to get an SPF 50 in something that feels so sheer and lightweight.
Yeah.
What is the shield you're sort of using in there?
We've got a combination of different sunscreens in here, but it took a long time to get it to be so light.
Yeah, exactly. I can imagine. Everyone always says, I mean, but it makes you look like you've had a facial straight away. It's that luminosity that it gives. But brands always say that SPF formulation is the hardest thing. Was this a hard product to sort of come up with?
Yeah, this is something we've had for quite a long time now. But I worked with one of the laboratories that I work with in the US on this one. And I think it probably took 3 years or 4 years, something like that.
Oh my goodness.
And that
must be one of the longest products that's been in formulation for you, or is that
normal? Ours take,
is that
sadly
is that the case?
So they take a long time.
I love that though. It's nice to know that there's so much research and innovation and time that's poured into these things as well, much like the facials, I guess. You know, they're not just sort of they don't come out quickly. They're not quick fixes.
And also, you know, we start from real scratch. So we don't go to a laboratory and say, okay, give us something you've got and we'll tweak it. We start really from research. So our face to formula approach is that kind of, what are we seeing in the treatment room? What do we need? We're listening to people. What's happening with their skin? What trends are coming through with lifestyle? How are we going to create something to fix that? Then we go into research. Then the scientists put their research in.
It's so interesting.
So there's a huge amount before we even create the first product. And then I'm a real stickler for texture. So even when the entire team will say...
That's because you're used to be a makeup artist as well, probably seeing how it all sits on the skin.
Yeah, and using my hands all the time in treatment. So you become very aware of stickiness, slippiness, greasiness, wetness, silicons, all different sort of textures. And so it takes time until we get it to be this beautiful sort of finish for the skin.
Oh, it's so interesting. And I suppose what's so fun for you as well is that you actually have so much contact with your clients as well, the people using your skincare through the treatment, so you can really listen to their feedback and sort of pour that into the products, which I imagine is where the clinical sort of skewed range came from, given the fact that all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but for a while now, a sort of huge interest in more of the medical grade skincare, but also a lot of the more non-surgical skin optimization procedures has really taken off, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
So was that sort of the driving force a little bit behind this range?
Yeah, I think from a clinical sort of expertise viewpoint and using more lasers and different technologies in clinic. And seeing what was happening with people's skin and this sort of disruption and the stress on the skin. So all of that combined was to look at how do we get these ingredients that we know work. They've been proven time and time again for years. How do we get them into the skin? So we did a lot of research into finding ways to deliver an encapsulation. So we know these ingredients work. We use them already in formulations, but is there a way to bypass the surface of the skin? And this pharmaceutical company that I mentioned had created a drug delivery for serious medicine and illness. And so that delivery system actually encapsulates the active ingredients, is clinically proven to not release anything on the surface. So I always say, we've talked to you about this before, it's a little bit like if you imagine a lift. Okay, so in the top you've got all your actives, that's all you've got 8 people, that's like those powerhouse actives. When you usually do a traditional formulation, somebody's going to get off at every layer through the skin. And there's a couple of people left at the cell level where they're going to really make the difference. with this encapsulation delivery system, all the passengers end up down at the area in the skin with the cells where you're actually going to utilise them. So it's all about bioavailability. So we want to make those ingredients available to the cells to optimise the efficacy.
And make sure that you're using them to the best of their potential as well, not sort of having them linger on the top layer of the skin where you actually need them sort of deeper sort of down in the dermis, actually affecting that change, stimulating that collagen, breaking down the pigment, whatever it might be.
Exactly.
The Power C, Vitamin C Power 1, has been a sort of long-term favourite of mine. And it's really interesting because you've got not only, well, you'll have to explain more about the form of vitamin C, but you've also got the niacinamide and the tranexamic acid in here, haven't you? Which I love.
It's funny actually, because I'm like, we're going to do a single ingredient focused product, but then of course
I
can't quite manage that.
I know, the irony.
So there are two forms of vitamin C. There's an oil soluble and a water soluble, because they absorb into different parts in the skin and the cells. So I wanted to kind of make sure that the vitamin C was optimized in its best way in all the different areas. So you've got the two forms of vitamin C. And then the niacinamide and tranexamic are put in there to really blast the pigmentation.
And tranexamic acid is
supporting ingredient.
I was going to say with the tranexamic acid, it's interesting because we're seeing it creep more and more into skincare, aren't we? And it used to sort of be, I think traditionally it was used to relieve very heavy periods. And then we saw a sort of wave of dermatologists starting to inject it superficially into pigmentation, and now all of a sudden we're seeing it in a lot of these formulations, which is really exciting.
It is, yeah. It was originally also used as a drug in hospitals for excessive blood flow.
Yes, absolutely.
So if somebody sort of had an accident and they needed to stop the blood flow, what the link between that and the sort of the melanin and pigmentation, I'm not sure, but our dermatologists in clinic were injecting it into melasma, and so that's where I first saw it. And then so we brought that in to really target people's stubborn pigmentation.
I love it. I'm putting it on my right hand because I realised that everything that goes on my left hand, I have no pigmentation on my left hand, and the other day I was just like, oh,
you've got
pigment on my right. I 100% have. They always say you have your preferred hand.
Yes.
You slap everything on it, and then you're like, why is that hand 10 years younger than this one? So I'm going to swap over to the right hand now.
And so C1 will give you that sort of almost lit from within glow as well, because vitamin C and niacinamide, they're so brightening, but there's also, vitamin C has so many other benefits, as you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great for collagen production, it's
antioxidant,
it helps to support blood vessel walls.
And what would you say to the people, because sometimes when people are very sort of acne prone, breakout prone, they really steer away from vitamin C, again, because they're worried, much like the sort of oily skins with the balm cleansers, that it's just going to exacerbate the breakouts.
I can only tell you this, there was 3 or 4 people in my business who couldn't use vitamin C, because every time they did, they broke out. Every single one of those and every single client has not broken out with it.
Oh, that's fabulous.
So it's they all say, oh, but I can't use vitamin C, and we said, can you trial for us? And not a single person has had breakouts from this, because it's not working on those surface layers of the skin.
It's getting
because
to where it
it's
needs
going
to
down,
be.
and then the cell, it's bioavailable to the cell's taking it, using it, and doing what we need with it.
And I think that delivery system is really interesting when you go on to talk about the vitamin A product that you've created, because again, we've spoken about this sort of endlessly, but people have a bit of a love-hate relationship with retinols, don't they? Some people are allergic to it, not physically, but emotionally. And others are just, they can't get enough. And others are very frightened. I mean, some people can't get enough of it. So it's sort of making sure people aren't overdoing it. They're not experiencing that sensitivity, but also they're still getting the amazing results that we can get from a vitamin A product.
Yeah, and I think that, if somebody's put a vitamin A retinoid product on before, a retinol product, and they've had a reaction, they think that they're sensitive to it and they can't use it.
Well, it sort of scars them for life, doesn't it, sadly, that experience?
You just start slowly. And actually, in a lot of the sort of the original line, we use retinol palmitate, which is like the sort of simpler form. It's a lipid retinoid. It takes longer to convert in the skin, but it's kind of gentler and less reactive.
Yes.
In here, we've got retinol and retinal.
Okay.
So really working with the two. So we know that retinol has to convert to retinal to become retinoic acid, so to really have the activity in the skin. So I put them both in so that it almost works like a little bit of a time release.
Yes, exactly.
It's not all retinal that's suddenly like boom.
Yes, because that's where you get the intense irritation. Yeah. But it's not also just only retinol, where it might just take a little bit longer to see the results. Very interesting.
And then again, because they're in this delivery system, They're taken right down to the cells where they can be used. What that also means is we don't actually have to put as much in as a traditional formula, again reducing the risk of irritation. And we've added some epidermal growth factors here to be the synergistic boost. And epidermal growth factors boost your own natural retinoic acid in the skin.
Oh, really?
So as well as having the ones that we're putting on, you're actually supporting your own functionality.
I think that's where we're seeing so much of skincare and also aesthetic medicine going. You know, it's not just about sort of always adding into the body, but getting your body back to a place where it can produce its own reserves as well, and sort of supporting that.
And I think that's very much how people look at things now. When we look at the longevity space, when we look at optimizing health, we're always looking at actually we're quite a complex, amazing thing, whether it's our skin or our bodies.
Absolutely.
How do we make those work to their best and give the things to support them, as opposed to just always attacking with something else?
Exactly. It does blow my mind when you think about the human body, even the skin and what it does and how it turns over. It's really incredible. And then final product we've got is the R&R cream. So tell us a bit about the sort of science behind this one.
So R&R Glow is really designed to help all those barrier sort of functionalities, so to really support that. So this is really full with anti-inflammatories, anti-redness, ceramides to kind of put that glue back in the surface of the skin and start to get that support back. So you know when the skin just becomes red, flaky, dry, but this is actually fantastic post-laser, post-resurfacing, after microneedling. We use it straight on the skin in clinic.
You can use it straight after things like microneedling.
We did clinical trials with this and it shows that it reduces redness by 50% in an hour.
Gosh, that's amazing.
So super fast, and it's so cooling. It's like a gel cream texture.
Yeah, it really is.
That literally sort of melts into the skin. It has
do these have fragrances in them?
This one doesn't. This is the natural.
No, I was going to say, I can't tell if it's...
This is the natural fragrance that came out of the formula.
But it
slightly herby.
Yes, exactly. Slightly medicinal, which I think is quite appropriate. But it's interesting, given that you mentioned skin barrier there, but also things like, you know, post-microneedling, post-peel, post-laser, because those are two huge areas of skincare. And if we're not... naturally disrupting or sort of intentionally disrupting our skincare barrier by doing all of these slightly more aggressive treatments to stimulate change and ultimately affect healthier skin at the end, then maybe we have overdone it and we have used too many products and we just have a compromised skincare barrier and we don't know what to do about it. So this feels like it's incredibly relevant to just modern life and how our skin is right now.
And it's quite versatile. I've got clients who have sort of rosacea prone skin and they use it as their daily moisturiser.
Oh, interesting.
And they might put something richer on top or their SPF on top, and they're finding that it's really helping to support the inflammation in the skin because it's got so many anti-inflammatories in it. And then again, it could be that somebody has it just for when they're doing a course of intensive treatments and they want to do that recovery, or they've done something and their skin's reacted, so they're using it as a first aid kit.
Yes,
so it's actually quite versatile. Men really like it after shaving, if they get any sort of wet shaving rash. I can imagine that. It's almost that sort of SOS product that you need in your skincare cabinet, no matter what sort of irritation or flare-up your skin might be experiencing. That's sort of a safe pair of hands to suddenly be in. Yeah. And I think that as we go through sort of winter months as well, where if people know that they get kind of dry with the central heating, and they feel that they lose that sort of almost resilience of the skin, just slot this into your everyday routine, because the ceramides will really help to support all of those dry cells and hold everything together, so that your skin keeps that sort of that lovely tight glossy glow that you have in the summer that sort of disappears as we get sucked of all our moisture.
I think what I love about the whole range, and you know, really encapsulated in these 5 products, is how it's sort of addressing everything that the skin needs, whether you are trying to sort of step it up a gear or whether you are trying to support it on the day-to-day, or whether you're just trying to heal it in those moments of SOS and emergency. It's really impressive what you've created here.
Thank you. Also, it's interesting just thinking about the clinical line, because one of the other things that we did is all of the bases of those are what's called a biomimetic lamella structure, which is, so essentially the base that everything's sitting in, it mimics the layers of the skin.
Oh, lovely.
So you notice that with these, they're a very different texture to my other products.
Yes, definitely.
And they really almost form like another layer of skin, a seal.
That second skin sort of effect.
So you can layer them really easily without getting any kind of balling or thickness. That's why they're so light in their texture. So even if you have a routine that you love, you can still sort of pick these up and slot them into that, and it doesn't cause any sort of
it's true
interference.
they don't feel like the skin is sort of weighed down in any way.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a good point, because sometimes you're adding things into your skincare routine and you feel like as a result the skin is just sort of overburdened and starts to feel a bit greasy or tacky, or things then don't sit on top, whereas...
And you wonder whether anything is really absorbing.
Yeah, I mean, but my hands are proof, you know. Everything is absorbed, and my pigmentation is literally on its way out right now as a result of putting that on the right hand. But it's really nice to see, and I think that goes back to what you said at the beginning, that sort of combination of the science and the sort of really expertly formulated sort of products meets the experience of the end user as well.
Yes. And remembering
genius.
Always that, as we were talking earlier, it all comes from the treatment room. It comes from looking at people's skin and listening to kind of what's going on, what is it that people are looking for, what seems to be happening. So we almost have like the perfect sort of research lab group.
Exactly.
Because we have those 15,000 treatments a year. We're looking at it directly.
Gosh, 15,000, that's amazing.
It's a lot. And obviously we do from facials through to our team of doctors as well. So everything across the board to do with skin. So we can kind of tap into the intelligence across all different levels in the business.
I think it's why it's one of my favourite ranges. It's why we're stocking it. It's why I'm so excited to have you here. I hope to everyone who tuned in that's been really helpful, and as I hope you found it as fascinating as I did. We talk endlessly about skincare, Sarah and I, but I'm always blown away by the sort of depth of your knowledge, and I always learn something new when I'm with you.
So thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you. You've got so much knowledge yourself, so it's really just a great chat.
Well, I think it's gleaned from people like you. I'm probably just regurgitating what we've spoken about over the years, but really excited to be stocking the products. Hope you all love using them as much as I do. Big thank you for joining us, Sarah, and we'll have more tips and tricks coming from Sarah Chapman on how to use all these beautiful products on the website and on our socials very soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.